This is Progress Culture. Progress Culture is a weekly happening where master drummer Paul F. Murphy and I share live improvised music and conversation with people from a variety of fields and expertises about the significance of human creativity in the advancement of ideas, culture, community, freedom, and progress for all. We're excited to have you here, so let's get into the show. But first, let's hear some music!
Runes upon the sandlot beach, fate in sunrise. At waters break her moonless tide of celestial border. In prayer to the earth we gave the seeds unknown, the chanting pulse of a blood river, flesh to bone. The water shoreline hallowed ranges that you reach upon the plains you seek. The runes upon the sandlot beach, fate in sunrise. At waters break the moonless tide, her celestial border. In prayer to the earth, we gave the sun, washed in rain, cleansed and seized, breathed by the wind, seeds of stone, flesh to bone, home touching this bloody peak. The crystal eyes, the ruddy cheeks, the limping eyes of fragile speech. Oh, the last demise in crowning. Dis-ease with current trends, no immunity in friends. The western view, an eastern sight, the pilot wings with no flights. Urine streak, littered fodder of aged deceit. And a soulless feet hit the street, bars and gates, the lockdown frame. Bankers foreclosed on the promised lot. Reapers of profit, militia in the classroom halls. In the halo fields of mortar with crack, the harness shot in a scope everlast rings against the blades. Laces reviewed of the muddy boots, parts of poem taint the gas air, the fecal trail, the hunter's lust for those vast remains. The gentle patties of mine fields, rolling grasses of the pines, sealed in common caskets, no wind to unfurl, only bars and stripes hang limp and insecure, long past the gusts of pale goodbye. No stars in the blue sky, still they hang on ground cover, in day as in night, in managing the masses, in continued state of war, in the evolution of the mind. No need for the planet Earth, all there is a constant comment, but not those precious commodities, diamond, gold, plutonium, gas, oil, air, in the crusts of the earth. Tenfold within the oceans and the seas, the bridge of human control lies within the power of extortion. For we have stitched the banner of freedom, where the scales of justice in evolution equip the soldiers in liberation, marched in revolution through the streets, sipped in meditations on peace, vote in resolve and speak of resolution. We have maintained, restrained, the government pelts, the worlds, the rights, the oppression, the rails, the trails, the pony express, the tears, the fears, the epiphany, the quest. As the mountains knelt before the sea, with oceans as filled as the sky, to the land of the free. Outlined in measures of tides, we trace rhythms from floor to floor, from beat to beat, relate to the paths we tread. Contours erect on the east view, feature on the west house of many doors, with boundaries as deep as 4 walls of change. Returning each lifetime to this bed in which we lay our many heads. For where we walk, we have labor. The sun that has seeded feeds also our sons and our daughters. I am the first light you seek, the breath of dawn upon your bloody cheeks, the seasons that fall and begin again, for you have come from within my deepest seas. You have drunk the earthly fire and been spoken on the wind. For I was the wind that wrapped around your head. I was the voice, I was the chorus of your sons and your daughters. Sleep, my sons, my daughters, my lovers, my mates, sleep now, for tomorrow we fight. Sleep now, first taste the red, then the white. You know, baby, you know, it's 2 coins for Karen to find your way again. With new ways, new deals, trains that run on time, new planes, new ideals, and a travel in your mind. The schedule remains the same. The spirit agrees to read and some pay a heavy fine. Speeches are being written, shaking hands and being kind. And they do come back again and run a second time. And the children are crying. They have come from the warring plain. They have forsworn that man shall seek to gain. He shall seek the harmony to ease the pain, giving his hand in love to protect our domain. Children, we ask of thee, forgive what we have come to see in the legacy of fear. A king who cried for others. Sleep there, you lay beside my brother. The lost art of a healing phrase, the heart the willing race. In truth, with honor and a whiskey, a one-legged soldier my party that day, his brothers still missing. And may your road be safe.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Progress Culture. I am here, Dominic Fragman, with Paul Murphy and Jere Carroll Murphy of Sonic Spirits, as well as Tommy Luganville. We are very excited to be here today, and I just want to jump right in and start with this question.
All right.
The question is, would you guys say that the sort of progression of a trend is something like rise of popularity, height of popularity, and decline of popularity? Does that sound fair as a description of a trend?
Yes.
Anything you would like to modify about that?
Did we talk?
Trendy.
No, we didn't talk about this.
Didn't we talk about fashion?
We talked about fashion. Oof, that was a long time ago.
My feelings on tie-dye and fanny packs.
I don't know if we did talk about that. No, we talked about Henry VIII and why unbuttoning the top or the whatever button of your suit jacket was only proper etiquette because it, sort of saved him from having to wear a bigger jacket.
So are you asking us, does a trend have to follow that pattern?
Not does it have to, but is it a fair assessment to say that a trend has a pattern or a progression that is something like rise of popularity, however small or large that is, height of popularity, however small or large that is, and decline of popularity, however small or large that is?
Yes, I would say that would define a trend, because if it only went like this and then it never came back down,
Right.
then it wouldn't be a trend. It would just be a truth.
I have not thought about that.
So, like, for me, a trend would have to be something that actually follows that arc, that actually comes back down.
Would you say then that a truth can also follow, or also has a trend? Like all.
So I think maybe the trends can lead to truths.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, perhaps there's trends where they go up and down, but when they go down, they don't go down as far as they used to be.
Sure.
And they take like a little step.
A little dip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And then that leads to that place of not being a trend anymore and just being a truth.
Can you think of any things that you would qualify as like that's fit in this context of this conversation, I guess, but that are like rather the truth rather than the trend, like you're distinguishing between?
Here in America?
No, just in general, just conceptually, I guess.
This is a weird one, but how about wearing shoes? I'm sure in the beginning you only wore shoes when you worked outside. But then it was, well, we have this new design, so now we wear shoes when we're inside, but not all the time. And then I think maybe over the years, all of a sudden everybody woke up one day and wearing shoes was just what everybody did.
Do you think that
Except you're not even wearing them right now. So
yeah,
So you're
okay, so
you're-
this thing fits in the conversation, I guess. Do you think that are we at the point of, or have we passed the point of, or on our way to the point of the height of popularity of wearing shoes? Do you think that since shoes have been introduced, that there was a time where more people were like, yeah, I'm gonna wear shoes, and they bought shoes, or are we still in the middle of that, or is it?
I think everyone just wears them now. I don't, it's, wearing shoes isn't a trend.
Obviously, everyone does not wear them.
Well, both of you aren't wearing them.
Half of the people in this room.
So this is the worst example ever.
Anyway, so would you guys have anything that you want to say about that?
I was trending barefoot long time ago. And for performances,
Yeah.
I use it to be grounded.
I get it.
So
That makes sense.
Well, the only trend that comes to my mind right away is the very, very slow rising trend to have a woman as president of this great country. And to have more women, perhaps, in Congress and in the Senate, so that we have a little different view of things around the world
That's a
and
good one.
within our own country.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Where I would say then that trend is sort of still in the rise of popularity, right? I guess.
I don't know how popular it is, but it's in the rise.
Sure,
definitely.
however small or large that increase
Right.
is, but
Yeah.
if the idea is taking
It's
hold, then
moving.
it's still moving into the rise of popularity, and we can't know if it's
Yeah.
what its height will be like or what its decline will be like. But I imagine there will probably be even if it takes thousands of years for, let's just say it takes 10 years for it to take hold, will it take another 1,000 or more, or however many for that idea to decline into a pendulum swing
Right.
the other way or something like that.
Right.
Okay. All this, I guess, is sort of more targeted at an issue that I've been thinking about around this idea of trends and if they will rise and fall and go away. And I was wondering if you thought that this, I think that we could agree that it would apply to the concept that I'm about to mention, but how do you think this will go? Or and what do you think will be next, I guess? And that is literacy. Do you believe that literacy will follow the trend, the progression of a trend, and
So the ability to read.
the ability to read the written word, I guess? Jerry's shaking her head.
Yeah.
What do you have to say
sadly,
about that?
sadly, it seems to be on the downtrend.
You think now we're in a downtrend of literacy?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Well, an example. If you are one of 7 children and you're the youngest, and then someone asks you to go look up a number in the telephone book, how?
Mm-hmm. Well, also the fact that newspapers and magazines and all these things, and publishers as well, I would say they're less. There are less of them. I mean,
And
in Southern Maryland, there isn't a real paper at this point, is there? There's online.
There's one.
Yeah. Is it the Independent or the Enterprise?
They're all together.
Right.
They like have different covers for each county. So this is interesting. So I was looking at, oddly enough, letters earlier today, and I don't know why this dawned on me, but I just had a flashback to high school geometry. Mm-hmm. And I was just looking at the letter L, because that's how my last name starts. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's a perfect 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I wonder if other letters are like that. And then I said, oh, yeah, you idiot. Of course they are. They're all just lines and then almost perfect, either perfect 180 degrees or perfect 360 degrees. Mm-hmm. So you got 180. 180 is half of a circle, right? Mm-hmm. And then 360 is a full circle. And then you've got all these perfect dimensions. And then I started thinking about, this is a weird rant, but then I started thinking about hieroglyphics, and I was like, oh, that's the exact same thing. It's just pictures.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I mean, maybe there are trends in literacy. Maybe there was a time when a bunch of people could read hieroglyphics.
Well, obviously there was. Well, I don't know if
a bunch
of people. But
yeah, I don't know if they could all read it.
Literacy itself, whether or not it's hieroglyphics or written words, has increased.
So maybe literacy of the English language is on a downward trend. Of the English language that we know.
It perhaps may be. I'm not necessarily asking the question because I think that it's in a decline. I just wonder if, just conceptually, if the progress of a trend goes rise, height, decline, that's probably going to happen to the written word. And I mean, we've been on the incline with literacy. I mean, even if literacy is on a decline right now, I imagine it's still in somewhere near the height of. There's got to be more people now today that can read than there has been in the past. There's more dissemination of information. Whether or not you're reading a book or a magazine or newspaper or something on the internet, that's still reading a written word, essentially.
Yeah, but if I were to say to you, LOL,
right?
What am I saying to you?
I know you're saying laugh out loud.
Right, but so if I type LOL to you in a text, does your brain go, oh, he's saying laugh out loud? Or does your brain go, oh, LOL, I know what that means. It means humor. Because if it's the latter, then you're literate, but that's not English.
Well, what if it wasn't, though? Like, one of the things that I'm thinking about is the amount of information that we receive that isn't from the written word. And that is on the rise as well. Just getting your information, you can get a lot of information from a video or from audio.
True.
And that's how a lot of people are getting their information these days, whether or not it's on social media or whatever it is that they're doing. Does that have any implication on whether or not the literacy of the written word can remain as popular as it is now, if sort of seemingly more effective, or like we talk about often, more popular methods are being employed?
I mean, you're sitting next to a poet.
I know. Well, this is why I thought it was a good conversation to have today.
Yeah, the spoken word, that has trended in a decline from the past. I think also travel from state to state has diminished some of that. And as Tommy said, does LOL mean humor or laugh out loud? And that will be how people perceive the words. And that's not even a word.
The words themselves can change, right? It's part of it. That doesn't necessarily... I don't know that affects literacy itself. Do you feel like that...
That it's groovy?
I don't know what you mean. I mean, I know what groovy means, but I don't know what you mean right now. What do you mean?
I just mean that was a whole nother language.
Yeah.
I mean, is it even... I'm going to... people probably won't like this, but is it necessary to be able to read?
I think that's part of sort of baked into the discussion here.
I mean,
It's
if
like,
that's where you're going, then...
I don't know where I'm going, but I think that... If,
do we need to be able to read nowadays?
I mean, if you're getting... Well...
People find pleasure.
Right. But,
pleasure and necessity.
But like, assuming you're not entertained by reading. I know some people love reading, and that's great. But if you're not entertained by reading, can you get through life without having to do it?
Yeah,
I think
nowadays.
we're closer and closer to that.
Then it naturally will be on a decline. I think people don't have to do it.
What do you think will happen after that?
More podcasts.
I guess. I mean, but like daily life, like I feel like I'm being maybe like a little naive and arrogant because I can read, and now I'm sitting here and I'm like, do I really need to know how to read?
Well, you'd have to know how to access the computer.
Yeah.
So you'd have to know something about how to spell.
Yeah.
Or I guess you could just talk to the computer and it could answer you. However, a lot of words sound the same, look the same. So the computer may not be giving you the exact answer that you're looking for.
The computer may not be giving you the exact answer that you're looking for when you type it in and say the words right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you never know what you're getting.
But like, but Paul just reminded me that anytime I can't spell something,
Yeah.
I just type it in the wrong way, and Google like always guesses what I was trying to.
Right.
Sure.
It always knows what I was trying to say.
You've been profiled.
Hey, I can't use I don't watch TV, and I don't really utilize the remote controls, of which there are usually numerous remotes for the TV now. Well, you just got one that you can talk to.
Yes.
And
All
you go,
right. There you
Netflix, and takes you to Netflix, and like, or turn the TV off, you know.
There are people with varying challenges, and they can speak into a mic and it will type out what they say on the computer screen.
Right.
Like Stephen Hawking used to do.
Wait, so let me ask you this. Why do you need a computer?
Because there's no person that I'm going to just bark orders at and they're going to do things for me.
But what does that have to do with your literacy?
Well,
or
because-
whether or not literacy is necessary?
Well, because like if I have an Amazon Echo in my house and I'm disabled, I could tell the Amazon Echo to order my groceries for me.
Yeah.
And I can tell it that I need, toiletries, and it'll just show up at my door.
So is it...
But over a period of time, will the human mind start to lose its grasp on what it's actually looking for or wanting
For sure.
or asking?
What do you mean because
Because
of the
it no
use of the
longer
computer?
has to spell, it no longer has to write, it no longer has to really understand very much.
Who? The computer?
No, the mind.
The mind.
Yeah, because you're talking to a computer. So is the computer going to educate you from, say, 2 years old?
computer out of it?
Take it out of it, and then what?
And then, right, that's what I'm asking.
Well, then
If
you're
you're
gonna
not-
have to be
if
taught.
you're not literate and you don't have a computer, it's going to be difficult.
Very.
Well, I won't argue that it wouldn't be difficult, but I think what we were sort of the basic question we're asking here, I think, is it necessary to be literate? Like, can you still learn or not function in society necessarily? I think that's an important facet of this, but we hit on something that I think was, before it went to the computer, was like, do you need to be able to read in order to learn or share information?
I think we all, in varying degrees, appreciate animals.
Yeah.
They don't know how to read,
They know a lot of stuff, too.
right?
Right.
And they serve a value. They don't read books.
However, you might want to read a stop sign.
Yeah.
That's true. Because they also get hit by cars because they don't,
Yeah, but if the stop sign was just a big red octagon, you probably would be okay, right? I mean, does that count as literacy, deciphering symbols?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because
I
I
guess
thought
that's-
But
about
who would tell you that?
Yeah. I thought about like gorillas because then I was like, well, gorillas, and then I
Yeah.
was like, oh wait, but they speak sign language. Because gorillas have their own language and they
Yes.
speak to each other, and they even speak it to humans. So I guess they're literate. They're just not literate in written word.
So,
Right.
if literacy, then we would say, is in the written word would shift. But as of now, even if, let's just say, if we're to shift in the direction of just video and audio, whether or not that video and audio was a Hollywood film or a FaceTime chat with somebody, that this video and audio would become the new standard of literacy?
I guess.
Could happen. I mean, we had cuneiform and hieroglyphics before, and now we're on to, I don't know what you call the letters that we use.
The thing, I'm gonna butcher this, but like one of the more like fascinating reports I ever heard because I listened to it was the taking the Japanese language and putting it onto a keyboard. So how do you take? I mean, they have characters, like an ungodly number of characters, and their alphabet is not nearly as simplistic as ours, where all of our words are formed by 27 letters, 26 letters.
Oh, they got another one.
So they took the Japanese language and then they like shortened it to have their characters kind of you piece together characters.
Right. They say more.
Right. And so they were able to just take the whole of Japanese language, break it down into specific roots, and then that's how do you think Japanese people use computers? They don't type on our keyboards. They type in this whole other keyboard.
I would be so lost if I encountered one of those. I mean, clearly.
Their symbols are art.
Yeah.
And like, this means your house, and then there's something else that goes there, and it's whose house or where or what.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But they basically just took their language and said, oh, we're rewriting this thing. Because how were they going to get it onto a keyboard?
I have no clue.
They couldn't. They couldn't get it onto a
Right.
It's too
keyboard.
big.
Right.
It was too big. So I'm sure there were people in Japan that were like, oh my God, like this is awful. Like the ancient language.
Right.
Yeah.
They got over it.
I wonder what they,
Right.
I wonder what they'll do next. I mean, it seems pretty, like, okay, we can accept that it's a trend in some way. There's a trend there, which means that not necessarily that it will ever even go away. Like, we're taking this to the extreme for sure. Like, just because the height of the popularity is hit and the decline happens, and I think this is what you were pointing out when you were talking about a truth, is that it may always just be there. I mean, maybe not always, but in our lifetimes or whatever, it may not go away, but it may get less popular. But there's a possibility that the popularity, which we are, I think, witnessing, whether or not it's through social media and news clips and things like that, but video and audio is really driving the way that people get their information these days and the way that they communicate too. So, I mean,
There's a surge in podcasts in the pandemic.
I mean, if we would have started a podcast as far back as people have been telling me to start a podcast, we probably would be. It is. It's there's now everybody from the folks in their basement to the giant corporations are running podcasts.
Yeah.
Which I think fits somewhere in the conversations that we have about how do you compete with these giant entities that are doing the same things. If you're making.
But are you subtly suggesting that there's less value in the video and in the audio? Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say that I would be suggesting that there's less value. This is something that I struggle with, and it's like, okay, so we can be duped by the video and audio.
Yeah,
well,
but
we can be duped by the person standing in front of us too, speaking to us, and they're not, they're being shady and they're lying to you, and you don't know that.
Well, I don't remember what it's called. It's like yellow media or something.
Yellow journalism?
What?
USIA, United States Information.
Oh, yeah, yellow journalism.
Yellow journalism. There was a guy though.
Pulitzer.
That's who it was?
Yes. Pulitzer, the dude that the award is named after.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he invented yellow journalism. He was just super rich, so he came up with the award for his legacy.
Wait, I want to know if we're talking about the same. When you talk about yellow journalism, what are you talking about?
You put bold letters on the cover of the newspaper. You shock people on the cover of the newspaper.
Yeah. All right.
He'd use the written word to do exactly what is happening with videos now.
All right.
So I don't know. I think you can do harm with whatever you got.
Right.
That's true.
Someone's going to thwart it if it's there.
But to Dominic's point, the trend right now is to thwart people with videos.
There's many ways it seems. It seems like the more ways we come up with to help people, that any way that you come up with to be helpful is also an avenue to go the opposite direction.
Like reading X-rays. Symbols.
Yeah.
Got to know the language.
Yeah, that's true too.
Well, I'd be interested to see what they come up with next, especially because we seem to be involved in a situation that follows popularity lines.
Right.
So we don't necessarily dictate to people, or people have it dictated to them what they're supposed to utilize. I mean, we do in some way, but then again, you have this, the people will show you, and we go with that,
I have an example.
Yeah.
This, if you have a dishwasher and they say get Cascade or something like that, and then you do get this other thing, Jet Dry, go through there. Well, that's to clean your dishwasher. And they say you don't have to put, anything on them, and just don't have to clean them before you put them in. Don't have to scrape them, just throw it in there, and it's sure to come out. But after that, it sits in your pipes. And what do they say? Flushable wipes? No. You might flush them 20 times and get away with it, but the 21st time, it's coming back up. So
the information may be a little off.
Yes, to sell.
I think about this a lot. Like, how can you correct or avoid misinformation, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's any. I've got nothing yet. I don't know if anybody knows.
I list rules. I warn young people.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop the misinformation from being there.
Maybe
the
what you're touching
word.
on is, at least in my case, if I wanted to trick people with misinformation, it's easier for me to make a video than it is for me to sit down and convince people with the written word. So I could do either one.
True.
But it's harder for me to sit down and be like, all right, how am I going to inspire and trick with this paragraph?
Would you
Yeah.
would you say that simultaneously, it's if I want to offer help and
Yeah.
positive information, that it's it's easiest for me to make a video than use the written word.
Absolutely.
Crap.
Like
know?
a like
the
a YouTube.
evangelists.
Yeah. Like a do-it-yourself YouTube video.
Sure, yeah.
You're really good at setting up lights for podcasts and videos. Probably a million times easier for you to film yourself doing it.
Yeah. Than to tell somebody how to go about it.
In the written word, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is easier to share with the written word than it is in a video or production? Let's call it.
I don't know. I'm the worst person to ask
Do you
that.
think that? Do you think that your poetry is more effective if somebody reads it on the page or sees you doing it?
Oh, there are two experiences, but what I write is alive.
Yeah.
So it feels many things. When I'm speaking, I might speak too quickly,
Sure.
or too slowly. Like when I said to you on at St. Mary's Hall, I said, the runes upon the sandlot beach, fate and sunrise, waters wake the moonless tide, or celestial water. Upon the plains you seek. So you're drawn to the water. You see the runes spelled out that you're supposed to come on land and start to breathe.
Yeah.
Or you go through the birth canal.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that it would be that somebody would choose out of convenience reading your words or watching a video given the choice?
I guess it depends on how I look.
How does that thumbnail look, you know?
It's a whole other conversation.
Did you design it well enough? Did I use too many different fonts for you? That's dang. There's all that. So then, even if it is more effective to write it in the written word, it's still up to the person
Delivering.
not the person delivering. It's up to the person who's consuming.
Yes.
How they want to consume it, which I guess sort of takes us full circle to like if people are choosing to engage with something that is not the written word to get their information more easily, then that's going to also determine the modes that are available for them to get. Like if, for instance, we're watching all these newspapers go away because not as many people are as interested in buying a newspaper and reading it.
Yeah, but the whole thing about everything is people are still buying books.
Sure they are.
And I don't know if there's truth to this, but there's claims that people trust the written word more than they trust the spoken word or the video.
I think that might be the case. I don't think it's necessarily true that it is, that the written word is more truthful than the video,
But I think that goes back to, if I'm trying to figure out why, I think that goes back to what I was saying before, which is like there's a perception that to write something takes more thought and has the idea that someone has edited the document or reviewed the document before it was put into circulation.
And more permanent.
Yeah, there's like a permanence to it, which is weird because with videos, nowadays they're permanent as well. But yeah, she's right. There's something about writing something down that makes it seem like, oh, this will sustain itself for the test of time.
There's something about reading it also.
Yeah.
I mean, reading something in a lot of cases is you get much more understanding out of that than, say, this 3-minute video that you just watched.
Yeah. That's also true. It's more trustworthy for some reason. I mean, I say that again on my high horse as someone who can read.
I think it would be, maybe somebody who doesn't read now, maybe they don't want to read. Maybe because that's what they believe that actually, no, it's not. Any medium of information dissemination
It's a good thing.
Well, it's a good thing, but it's also very editable. It's very manipulatable. It can be changed. It can be a lie completely. But I don't know. I'm not saying I have the solution to that at all. I just think about it often. It's no more different than someone staring you in the face and telling you a bunch of lies like, "Hey, the things that you require for your life are over here." Mm-hmm. And you say, "Oh, thank you," and you go that way, and then you fall in a pit of sharpened stakes. I don't know. Anyway, all right. I don't know where this gets us today. I just think it's interesting I think about a lot of things that I guess we'll probably not doing anything with. But if somebody has anything to say about these things.
No, you know what? A request to go out would be someone who can't read to have the courage to reply to this. And instead of all of us who can read, casting our beliefs, it's like, well, if someone who's watching this can't read, I know some people are nervous to do that.
Sure, yeah.
But if there is someone out there who
can speak to, not even necessarily how do they navigate the world and learn things, but what do they see as, like, what's valuable about not being able to read, and where they might have an idea about where acquiring information and sharing it would come from better than we would, because we've been relying on those things all of our lives. At least I have, since I could read.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe a blind person could.
Or dyslexia.
Yeah. Or a dyslexic person, yeah.
I mean, I don't. We were out of time here, but I've told you several times about the time where I sat down and just watched a whole bunch of TED Talks by blind people, and the stuff that they can discern just from listening and feeling, and it's absolutely amazing. Yeah. So, but I mean, let's not forget that they also. I'm not saying that this is widely available or available enough to those who need it, but there's Braille and things that they're able to read. So it would be cool to hear from somebody that doesn't. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. This I think fits into the kind of conversations that we have about trying to explore the next frontiers and offer up new ideas and new whatever. So if you have any ideas about making positive progress in whatever discipline, if it's around computers or science or freedom, we really love to talk about freedom. Please get in touch and share them with us, or don't get in touch and share them with other people. And sharing it is the way that it's going to come to fruition. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Thank you all for being with us. We appreciate your time and consideration. And, as always, please feel free to reach out to us at progressculture.org and sonic-spirits.com. We are building a community that supports positivity and progress for all, and in all fields. If you have any ideas about how to do that, please share them with us, share them with each other, and we can make it happen. Thanks for watching and listening. We hope to see you on the next one. Much love.